Avital Miller is an award-winning author of the upcoming book, Healing Happens, international keynote speaker, healing breakthrough facilitator, and global dancer. She has passionately shared leadership, healing, spiritual, and dance programs with thousands of people worldwide for over 15 years. Avital has been a program manager at Microsoft, lead coach for Success Resources America, sales and marketing director for Crystal Clarity Publishers, yoga and fitness teacher trainer, fitness director, and graduate of Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri, with a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering and a major in dance. Her articles have been published in Fitness Professional Online and Sacred Dance Guild Journal. She has performed and taught dance around the world since 1993. Avital helps people feel love in their hearts, joy in their spirits, and peace in their minds. Avital, you ready? Yes.
Such an honor to be here with you and to be with such a motivated group of people that are coming live.
Absolutely. We have had an incredible lineup of people today who are taking personal responsibility for their life, creating their reality, creating success, and we're super excited to have you on for the third time, I believe. This is the third time, right? You come on the show. And
it might be the fourth or fifth.
And, oh my gosh, fourth or fifth, even better. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
We've had you so many times, and every time we just go into all these deep conversations, and I'm like, I love having Avital on. So thank you for coming back again. And this is the one that's launching onto the podcast, and I'm sure you'll be back again for another episode in the podcast because you always bring the gold. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. I'll only bring the gold to the gold.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. 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 So since this is going on the podcast, I want you to share with our audience who may not know much about you, catch them up to speed on your journey, some of the challenges that you had to experience, and how you got into this world of healing and success.
Yes, thank you so much. And before I jump completely into my story, I want to understand a little bit more about who is here on the call with us or listening to the podcast later. And the first question is, how many of you want to be the best you can be? If you are watching live, you can write in the chat window, I am the best. Otherwise, at home, grab a paper and pencil and write, I am the best. And then how many of you want to fulfill your dreams and your goals? Right? That's me. If that is you. And I think I could see what you guys are writing as well. So I'll be looking for your participation. And I want to congratulate you for being here and thank you, because it really is a good decision. I don't know how many people realize that 80% of success is just showing up. But I want to add to that, because it's not just showing up at this moment, but it's continually showing up over and over again. So I challenge everyone listening to stay till the end of the hour and then to stay until the end of the marathon so that you continue to show up. I was just at a workshop with Brandon Burchard, the Experts Academy, and he said he feels the biggest difference why he's been successful is because after that first quarter mile, there's a lot less people on the road. I don't know if any of you are into nature or hiking, or if any of you have gone into the backcountry. Well, one example is when I went to the Grand Canyon, you could see all sorts of people drive up to the edge of the canyon and look at the sights, take a few photos, and then most of them head off. I started down the trail, and there's a bunch of people walking down the trail. After about 15-30 minutes, it gets pretty scarce, the number of people on the trail. And then a few hours later, I get to the first place where you can camp, and the campground is probably usually pretty full, even in the heat of the summer. And that could be anywhere from 20 to 50 people. I don't know exact numbers, but it's not huge, huge numbers. And then I continued on from there, and there was not a single person that I saw for the next few days until I got back to that camp.
Wow.
So when we talk about success and the keys to success mastery, which is what we're going to be talking about here, it's looking at that. But here's another picture I want to paint for you, which helps you understand my story. Now imagine you're going on that trail, but there's signposts along the way. And they say, you're never going to make it. This is too hard. It won't work. You're not good enough. How many of you can relate to that, whether it's somebody else saying that to you or your own self? Exactly. Sometimes those signposts are your own voice coming at you. And this helps you understand why somebody who used to be a program manager at Microsoft is involved with healing. Because I have my own story of being given that signpost of a diagnosis for life and not being told that there's any other options. But yet I discovered what those options were. And then to give you a little bit more background on that, I realized pretty quickly on that Microsoft was not my passion. So instead, by age 27, I was a yoga and fitness teacher, trainer, fitness director, running my own business, teaching 25 to 30 classes a week. How many of you listening are like to do a lot of things?
Powerhouse. Let's fill the plate up. Let's go. Let's go. Bring it on, world.
Yeah, a lot of you probably love doing multiple projects and filling your life in with that variety. I was so energetic that people actually called me the Energizer Buddy, and I felt invincible. But then I started having issues with fatigue. I had never taken naps. Like even in preschool when you had to nap, I didn't nap. And my hair was falling out. My muscles were turning to fat, and it was getting hard to teach my classes, and I was worried I'd be out of the job. Chris, how would you feel if you couldn't talk anymore?
I'd be devastated. Don't create that possibility.
I know. Well, that's exactly what's going on for me. I need to do something about this. This can't be my life. And I did what most of us would do. I went to the doctor. And the doctor gave me a diagnosis. He gave me a prescription of medication, handful of supplements, sent me out the door, and said, that's it for life. I believed him. There's the signpost along the trail, it says go in this direction. But I wanted to make sure if I was going to go in that direction that I would be as well equipped as possible. And a lot of you might relate to this. You want to do the best that you could do. That's why you're all here. You already agree that that's what you want to do. So there I am just doing research, reading online, looking at books, going to all different types of healing practitioners, both East and West modalities. I even studied one-on-one with an Ayurvedic doctor in India. And then I joined a spiritual community and started meditating. Lo and behold, it took quite a bit of time because I kept showing up, right, to meet that point of success. But the doctors took me off the medication because my test results were changing.
Wow.
And that was never something that they said could happen. That's really key for people to know, that not everything that you get told is exactly what is going to happen. And you can imagine if somebody has these secrets of how you're going to get around these permanent prognoses, that you would want to know them. So I started sharing around the world all of these different healing techniques that I was using. And then I was meeting people with more extreme stories than mine. So there's people out there who have been told they're going to die in a few months or a few hours. But I was meeting those people years later, and they were fully healthy. So I had to sit down with these people and start asking more questions and then continue to share those stories. All of that is going into my upcoming book called Healing Happens, Stories of Healing Against All Odds.
Woo!
I know I can't lift it because it's all in piles, but I have the entire manuscript here printed. We're in the final phases of editing this book that has my story and then 17 other interviews with all different types of health and healing experts addressing over 20 different diseases. When I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the question of what brought everyone to success. And imagine this, the same things that bring people to success with their health are the same things that I needed to do as a program manager at Microsoft, that I needed to do in running my own business, that I need to do in order to be happy. And how many of you can relate what you do in one area affects how you do things in other areas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of tossover. There's a lot of play there. So what I wanted to bring to you today were 4 of the key takeaways from the book, which are going to relate to, I bet a lot of you are entrepreneurs, so they're going to relate to a lot of what you're developing in life, and it's going to help you live your purpose, make the most effective decisions for yourself, and help you continually grow.
Sweet. I am so excited. And by the way, Avital, you have taken your presence up a whole nother level. I love it. I love it. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. It's amazing. Let's dive in.
Awesome. Well, here's the first step of how we're going to make our presence even more dynamic. It is the reason to live. And I actually want you all who are listening, sitting at home, wherever you are, to put your hands on your heart. And then you're also going to recite reason to live. And as you say that, you're going to reach your hands forward and then open them out to the sides. Reason to live. Open your hands forward and all the way open out to the sides. Yeah. So we're going to anchor that in. Reason to live. This is living your purpose, tuning into and completely focusing on your reason to live. Maybe it's just seeing your kids growing up, finishing watching a soap opera series. I kid you not, that is one of the stories that I came across. It could just be curiosity for what's going to happen in life, or your determination to meet your goals with your business that you're developing. I'm a scientist, right? I remember I did engineering. When the power, the force of something is stronger than anything else, it wins. So if we're going to empower our reason to live, what is going to win? But only our reason to live. If you empower your goals for business, what's going to happen? They're going to continue.
Yeah.
So we're thinking about our reason to live. One of the stories going into my book that really exhibits this concept powerfully is Mamie Jean Lamley. And Chris, you might know her from Success Resources. She's the woman who's both on back of stage and on stage. She's kind of like this yogi Zen calm person, and then she's a real powerhouse. She's from Hawaii, so she has just this beautiful energy about her that comes from what a lot of the natives would get from Hawaii. She's had 2 miracles in her life. The first one was that she was expected not to have kids. Her pelvis was tilted. And how many of you have kids or just like kids? Yeah, kids they're kind of fun. She really wanted them. So she just went for it eventually. And the first one was so big that it re-tilted her pelvis, and then she was able to have 2 more.
Wow.
So there she is, 3 beautiful kids, age 35, on stage, teaching a course called Think Like a Leader. And gets her phone call that her doctor said she had to take while she was on stage to let her know that she had cancer. Yeah. And it was really advanced stage breast cancer. So she had to leave as soon as the day was done. The doctor didn't want her to stay, but she convinced him, let me finish the day. And she went to the hospital, and they gave her the diagnosis. They did all the research. She had to go through a number of surgeries in order to take care of that. And she had to be apart from her kids for a number of months while all of this was happening, just because of the circumstance of the situation. And how many of you have either yourself brushed shoulders with cancer or known somebody who has? It can be very stressful. And one of the things that Mamie did initially, because a lot of people say cancer equals death. So she made one of her mantras, cancer does not equal death. Cancer does not equal death. And while the doctors were taking care of her body, she needed something to help take care of the stress of the situation. And remember, she has these kids as her reason to live. So with determination, she needs to figure out how to heal all sides of herself to continue to move forward and live a wonderful life with these 3 beautiful little kids. She discovered the mandala. The mandala is this beautiful drawing and these shapes and patterns, and they come from India and some of the Eastern countries, and they're used for spiritual ceremony, made with all these beautiful bright colors. So they all have this very deep symbolism to them. And she realized how soothing it is to draw on the mandalas. But then she realized something else. As she was having her friends draw mandalas, they could ask a question. And she was able to start giving them a reading, looking at the mandala and their question, which helped them understand themselves better and get in touch with their souls more deeply, and just create this great sense of calmness in them. So not only was it calming and healing her own soul, but she was given a gift that was helping other people with theirs. And she came out of all of that with her number one priority being family. And number two, her goal is to empower 5 million women. How amazing would it be for you if you were given a prognosis that you thought you weren't going to live much longer, but instead you are living to the point where you're going to empower 5 million people?
Boom. Talk about a 180.
180. Exactly. That's pretty huge. And now what we want to do is really be true and sincere about what our reason to live is. It's funny, I just spent a month in Bali, and after about a week into the trip, I realized I needed to stop working because things were changing inside of me as I was there. And when we take steps away from something, that's when we sometimes get the clarity. So when you ask yourself the question, if you're living fully into your purpose, I highly recommend that don't do it when you're in a mental state, but do it right after you've done your favorite thing to do. But that's not mental. Even if your favorite thing to do that is mental, then pick something more physical or athletic or something with music that gets you into the heart. Because you want to ask yourself this question: if anything is possible in 6 months, what would it be? If anything is possible in 6 months, what would that be? What would that be?
Wow. And what would that be, being like the purpose, the living fully? If I could keep doing this or not do this anymore, what would be in my highest and best good to be doing in 6 months?
Yeah. I mean, I could say that I want a million readers of my book, Healing Happens. Or I could say that I'm going to go find a husband and get married and start having a family. And that's going to be the heart fulfillment that I am living for. And you check in with yourself in every single moment and make sure that you're getting that balance in your life in all areas. Luckily, coming out of the experience in Bali, I don't need to make a 180 in my life. I just need to make sure that I have all the things in my life that I really want. Whereas I've spent all of my time and all of my focus almost this entire past year on my book with just a little bit of fun. And now there needs to be a little more balance there. Definitely. So, and I'm almost done with the book. So,
yes.
Yay. These are the little check-ins that we get to make for ourselves. And Swami Kriyananda, he was one of my spiritual teachers, and this is one of my favorite quotes from him. There is in each of us a special song to be sung. Now, I want to take you into the second key takeaway.
All right.
Remember number 2, the signposts that were along the road? I want you to go ahead and put one hand on your hip, one hand out in front of you with your index finger pointed up, and say, no, 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 no.
No, 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 no.
No. Number 2 is don't listen to everything. Some of those signposts are not really there to help us. They're there for something that we don't necessarily need to listen to. Paramahansa Yogananda, the great yoga guru, actually said that the greatest enemy of yourself is yourself. So we have to be careful for even just listening to our own voice. So we say, don't listen to everything. You just take that finger in front of you and flick that finger. No, no, no. But here's the thing with health. There's nearly 130,000 people who die a year from taking medications. And then I have come across nearly 200 stories of people who've healed beyond the doctor's diagnosis. So, or their prognosis, I should say. So how could we say that everything that we hear is true? So we're going to be careful about what we listen to and what we choose. And now there's people that you've probably heard of, like Oprah Winfrey, Steven Spielberg, Lady Gaga, Einstein, Walt Disney. They were all told at some point that they sucked at what they wanted to accomplish. Where would we be today if they listened? Now imagine your own self in their shoes, because at one point they were just like you. What potential do you have waiting out there for you if you choose carefully what it is that you're going to listen to? Right? How many of our beliefs and understandings have changed over time? Once the world was flat, then it became round. Now some people are saying it's flat again, apparently. Once we had to choose a career and stick to it, now so many of us are not 9-to-5ers, and we work from home. We do our laptop lifestyle. We're all over the place. 10 years ago, you would have never said to your teen that it's safer to let your teen go in a car with strangers than your drunk friend. But now we have Uber. It's safer to go with Uber than it is with your drunk friend.
100%. Yes. Beautiful.
That's just a small span of time where these changes happen in our lives. So we don't need to keep everything that we hear permanent. Maureen Bell has one of my favorite stories of this. She was into natural healing, green design, plants and animals. How many of you love plants and animals?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, they're quite fun. She also brushed shoulders a couple times with cancer as well, and to the point where she was even in a wheelchair. She was type A personality. She pushed really hard, but she pushed so hard that she collapsed. Her friend showed up, took her to the hospital, and that's where she got the diagnosis of stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. She was given 6 to 8 weeks to live. That's it. The doctor said, yeah, we could do some chemo to prolong your life, but there's nothing we can do for you. She believed them. So as predicted, a couple months later, she was 85 pounds, hospice care, morphine patches, oxygen tubes. She wasn't eating. She couldn't get up. And she was waiting for her son to visit so they could say goodbye before she was going to die. And he comes in. They have their nice time together. He's about ready to leave, and he just says, I'm confused. Why didn't you fight? He remembered this strong single mom who knew about natural healing. Why didn't you fight? And he leaves with a question in her head, do I have a choice? And she literally hears the word come back to her, choice. Wow. Choice. And it's literally just that moment. There's a lot more that happened with this, but it's that pivotal moment where she shifted her mindset and her perception and went on to heal from there. Wow. That was the moment that she wasn't feeling pain in her body, that she was hungry for the first time. She started to gain weight, to have her hair grow back in. Yeah.
Man, that's incredible. The power of choice, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Wow. So we're here 10 years later. She just visited me at the beach a couple of months ago. Took a walk on the beach. She's leading programs as well to help people learn what she learned.
Wow.
And I love this quote from Abraham Lincoln. He says, be sure you put your feet in the right place, then stand firm. We've clarified our reason to live. We've chosen there's some things we don't listen to. So we know what to focus on and what to move forward with. And so now we do what you can do. So you're going to roll your hands around like a steamboat propeller wheel and nod your head yes. So we did know. Now we're doing yes. Do what you can do.
Yeah.
Do what you can do. But you see, while I'm doing that, I'm actually moving your heart energy. Oh. So I'm moving your energy around. Yep. And shifting things, giving yourself a little energy healing while you're doing that.
Wow.
But how many of you have had challenging situations where you felt stuck or unsuccessful? Well, guess what do you do about that? You do what you can do.
Love it.
Brooke Goldner is one of those stories where she gave us this surprise. She was an average teen, except that she had lupus, and she was on chemo for 2 years while she was in high school. How many of you have heard of lupus or autoimmune disorders? Yeah, or maybe you know somebody that's had an autoimmune disorder. And she was experiencing arthritis, migraines, rashes, fatigue. Terrible for a teenager to be experiencing this. She didn't expect to be living a long life, but she knew she wanted to be a doctor. Mm-hmm. So she made it through college. She barely made it through med school. She did at some point have kind of like a mini stroke. And that reminded her that her clock was ticking. Mm. But she thought, you know what, I'm still here. I'm going to keep finishing med school. And then she met Thomas and she fell in love. They fell in love very fast, so fast that after a month, he asked her to marry him.
Wow.
This was so fast that she hadn't even explained the whole lupus thing yet. So she had to explain it to him.
Wow.
And what it meant, you know, I'm not going to live a long life. You're going to have to take care of me. I'm not going to be able to have kids. He had sort of stopped, maybe hesitated for just a moment. And then he said, I'd rather have a short life with you than a long life with anyone else. Mm. And she's like, okay, good, we'll get married. She's so excited because she just thought she was just going to be wearing a white coat, not a white dress. Wow. So then she adds to that, well, if I'm going to have a wedding, then I want to look great.
Yes.
Lo and behold, Thomas happened to be somebody who trained MTV dancers or, you know, all the people in those scenes there to get into shape really, really fast and get those six-pack abs. The only thing was that his diet was not a vegetarian diet. And she was a vegetarian since she was a kid. She just didn't like the idea of eating animals. Mm. And so we had to change the diet. It ended up being more like a vegan diet because the dairy products can be very fattening. Mm-hmm. And so she ended up looking great for the wedding. But she didn't just look great. How many of you love looking great? But you don't want to just look great on the outside. You want to look great on the inside, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. She went in for testing right before the wedding, her routine testing, and there was no lupus. What? And they thought, oh, maybe, you know, love heals all, you know, they didn't think much of it. But this continued the results of no lupus for over 11 years now. Wow. So she's had 2 beautiful boys. Oh my gosh. And then, of course, she's sharing these secrets of what she learned with, really, it's the diet. Mm. And that diet, she's been able to repeat that for other people. So she did what she could do. She lived life as much as she could do. She followed her dreams, her reason to live, right? But then she just changed her diet. Simple thing that we all can do. And she's very nice about it. She doesn't make people get rid of all the things they love. She just has people add in these really delicious smoothies that are very, very nutrient rich. Those of you worried about giving things up, you don't have to worry so much.
I love it. I love more options. We all love more options, don't we, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes. So, and how many of you are committed to doing your best? Mm. Right.
Yes.
I'm sure a lot of you are. So you're going to start with what you could do.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
What you could do. And what is that first step? If your goal is to be a world famous chef, then go cook the next meal for your family. Mm. If your goal is to be a fluent Chinese speaker, then have a 5-minute conversation with your Chinese coworker. Get a few words in there. So that you could take a moment now and really think about that reason to live that you have planted in your mind. And then what is that action? That first thing that you can do right away in just 5 minutes. Mm. In just 5 minutes. And I know Chris has been setting goals with you today to get done during the day. So maybe this is included in one of those goals. Or you can just add in one simple step.
Boom.
Absolutely. Sometimes as we are going along, you know, we can hit these roadblocks. And so it's important to realize that if we move energy in one area, and you can literally just do this thing of moving your hands in the circle in front of your heart, you're going to be able to move energy in another area. There was this woman who was at absolute dead end in life, couldn't find any solutions to anything. And none of her teachers, ministers, nobody could find any solutions. Finally, one person found one solution and said, I want you to just ride your bike every day, because it was the only thing that she liked to do. So she could feel the wind going by and see the nature and hear the birds. She lights up as she's describing this. So she does it. 2 weeks later, she comes back to the same minister who gave the advice, looking like a completely different person, happy and having solutions. That's the other reason why I mentioned earlier, sometimes tricking yourself to be in a very different environment, to take breaks, to do what you love, gives you those keys and those steps so you know what you can do. One thing is going to affect another area. There's this thing with, let's say you really can't change your diet because it's just too hard to change those habits. Maybe you're able to start a meditation practice, even a few minutes a day, because believe it or not, the foods that you eat come from the emotional cravings that you have. And if you do meditation to calm yourself down, then you won't have the same emotional cravings for food. And it goes vice versa. Let's say you want to calm your emotions, but you're able to change your diet. When you change your diet and you get your body functioning better, your emotions are naturally going to calm down. So there's this great interconnection with everything going on in our bodies. And keep that in mind, what you are committed to do, and then do what you can do.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that. Every time Avital is doing that, for everyone listening to the podcast, I'm doing this hand motion, rolling my hands, moving my heart energy, heart chakra energy. I love it. Love it.
Perfect.
Yes.
That was number 3. I'm going to give you number 4.
Sweet.
And here's what I want you to do. This one you're going to sing as well. So you're going to be reaching your arms way up ahead, as if you're reaching up to the heavens, if there is such a thing, and looking up to the heavens. And then you're going to sing, what is the gift?
What is the gift?
What is the gift?
Yes.
Exactly. And hopefully that gets you a little silly, or at least a little bit more into your heart. But how many of you have ever had things in life that just didn't go your way, or you got sick at an inopportune time? In my opinion, that I don't think that disease or bad things that happen in our life are some divine retribution for anything that we've done wrong in the past. I think it's quite the opposite. I think it's quite different from that. I think instead that often there's something that we can learn from the situation, right? How many of you have had a challenge in the past and now you realize there was a great virtue that you got out of that situation? I told you about Mamie, who ended up getting this gift with mandalas. I told you about Maureen, who realized how much choice we have and got the gift of her life, for one thing, but is able to share that wisdom with other people. And Dr. Brooke Goldner, who is helping change the entire medical industry by reminding them that nutrition is important. All because of the challenges that she went through. And maybe some of you know Sarah Blakely, who is the CEO and the founder of Spanx. I got to hear her talk in a program recently. She mentioned that every week her father would sit them down at dinner and ask what they had failed at that week. Like, this was some excited thing. You know, finally one day she realizes something that she had failed at because she couldn't find one, and she found one. She was so excited to tell him, and she had auditioned for this play and she sucked at it. And what it did was it helped her be able to take more risks also. And then because she didn't do that well, she got to see, where do I need to improve? Where do my skills lie? So there's two sides of that. And Chris, maybe you could think of a recent failure that you are excited about. And some of you online, you can even post that or write that down if you're listening to this later. What is a failure that you are excited about?
Man, I'm so excited that I failed at launching a podcast for 7 months straight. I said I was going to launch a podcast. Didn't happen. Finally, I got so sick and tired of being sick and tired and pushing it off, I said, I'm launching November 1st. And after all that, I launched, and the joy and the glory and the gratitude is just so much more powerful. I could have started earlier. I didn't. And I'm grateful that I started when I started. And just, I learned when I have an idea and I know that it's valuable, I know that people want to receive this information, because I was talking about it 7 months ago. Do it. Stop waiting. Stop hesitating. Take action.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good. Good. That's a great lesson there.
Yes.
I know for myself, of course, you're reminding me because I want to launch my podcast too.
Yes.
That will be coming alongside with the book. The book's coming first, but all the interviews are queued up. They are
Beautiful.
just about ready to go with a little bit of editing, because all those interviews were audio recorded for the book, which is really, really fun. So you're going to get more and more inspiring stories
Oh my gosh,
for
you got
podcast.
you got a full arsenal ready to go of content, and arsenal's warlike, but you got a full plethora and cornucopia and beautiful offering of stuff to give people when the book launches. That's amazing. For everyone out there listening, that's how you do a launch. You have lots of different pieces that move together that create more value. Other than just a book, Avital knows that it makes sense to have a funnel and more offerings and more value to add with a podcast, with audio, with physical copy of the book. And I know you were doing separate packages that people can do as well. So I'm sure you'll dive into that as well at the end, but amazing.
Yes, I can let you know about some of those packages, and I could tell you a little secret preview so you know this. You're actually getting a preview of one of the things that I'm going to be launching, which is a 4-part webinar series on exactly what we're talking about. But I'm going to be able to go into more depth on each of these 4 key takeaways, which would be really awesome. And then on top of that, there's going to be an online course.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that will go through all the different layers of healing, physical through spiritual. So we get into all the different dimensions, and we do what we can do.
Yeah.
You might just pick one of those dimensions that you're going to work on that suits your nature in the best way possible. But all of that is fine. And we were talking about what, Chris? Sing it.
Where is the gift? What is the gift? What is the gift? Yes.
Exactly. Can you imagine? I asked Chris what his failure was, right? And for me, when I was having this health issues, when I was a young person who knew a lot about health and fitness, who shouldn't be getting sick, and now look at all of these things that I'm able to share with the world because of what happened to me. So sometimes our greatest misfortune can be our greatest fortune. And I believe that there's no such thing as failure. Sometimes it's just that we haven't succeeded yet.
Feedback.
Successful entrepreneurs should love failure because that is the best teacher.
Yeah, failure is only failure if you give up, right? If you stop the race, and sometimes it's appropriate to quit, right? You got to know when to quit and when to focus on something else. And it's also important to know when to stay in the race, because you're 3 feet from gold, as Napoleon Hill says.
Yes. Yeah. And that's really when you're asking yourself the question, what is the gift? You're asking, why did this happen? What is the source here? Do I need to make a change? Because what is it? There's one story of these people who gave up on digging for gold. And they thought, no way. And they gave their machine to this junkyard guy. He went and asked a professional what was going on at the site they were at, and the professional said actually they were digging in the wrong place. If they were 3 feet away, then they would have struck gold. So what did he do?
He kept going. He had that mentality. I'm going to keep going until.
Yeah. Well, and it was these other people who quit, and so he got to slide in. And those people who quit, they learned a valuable lesson. Not doing that again. Get the expert's advice. So sometimes you need to dig deeper to get to the gold. Sometimes you need to dig in a different spot. Sometimes you need a different piece of machinery. Sometimes you need to be digging for silver instead of gold, or you need to stop digging. Right? There's all these different things. I mean, what does that come down to? It's people are changing their careers. They're changing their relationships. They're changing the places that they live. They're changing habits. Whatever it might be, right? These stories that I told you also created some changes in career for these people that I mentioned, for myself as well. I got more interested in sharing people with healing and deeper wisdom than just the physical practices that come with yoga and fitness. And these are changes that can happen to all of us. So that's why you ask, what is the gift?
What is the gift?
This is a good quote from Sir Richard Branson. You don't learn to walk by following rules. You learn by doing and by falling over.
Wow. My gosh. Take action, people. Take action.
Yeah, so failure is a good thing.
Yes.
And then just to summarize all those things, imagine if you could achieve anything in 6 months, what would it be? That will give you do it with me, your reason to live. Yes. And then choose who you listen to so you can find the open doors, because we don't listen to everything. Yeah,
Everything,
take your finger. No, no, no. We want to be an active participant and do what we can do.
Oh,
yes. This is your yes, nodding your head yes. When you hit roadblocks, you ask, what is the gift? Awesome. And then maybe this is a good time for me to mention some gifts that I would like to share with you all. How many of you want to achieve your goals? And yes, you do. We all do. And how many of you have been, or you know somebody who's been diagnosed with a chronic condition? And I don't know if you know this, Chris, but 42% of Americans have had a friend or relative suffer from a terminal illness or coma in the past 5 years.
Wow.
That's going to the more extreme end of chronic or terminal conditions. Most of us are going to brush shoulders to some degree, ourselves or someone else. But wouldn't we want ourselves or these people to be able to achieve our dreams?
Yes.
Yes. And if there was some way to turn that around to find success, you would want to know.
Yes.
So that's what comes in Healing Happens.
Woohoo!
Stories of healing against all odds. And how many of you would want to make sure that you learn from the best top experts out there?
Yes.
You would. So that's why I've been including the wisdom from those experts, which I've been sharing with you during this webinar as well. So those are all in the book. So there's my story and then 17 other interviews. There's way more stories than interviews. I even have Dr. Bernie Siegel in there because he's had so much experience, especially with cancer, with seeing a lot of people heal because of the reason to live. That's it. These are all different types of healing practitioners, East and West. They worked on over 20 different diseases are mentioned in the book, but actually it applies to everything. And this is fun. You know, as I read through my book and I'm going through a few rounds of edits, I feel like I just keep discovering more and more gems and realize how much more and more the success in our healing applies to the success in all areas of our life. And hopefully you've been inspired by the stories I've been sharing, because you'll get even more of them in the book. You get the stories, you get the wisdom, you get the techniques. It's all in there. And the good news is that even though the book is not published yet, you can start reading right away. And this is the URL where you can get an entire first chapter for just $5. And this is where you'll see some of the packages that Chris was mentioning, is gofundme.com/healing-happens-book. So just $5 for the first chapter. But of course, you can pre-order the entire book. You can even get an autographed copy. And then there's some other bonuses that I'm throwing in there depending on which package you want. I have actually recorded over 20 guided online meditations on all different areas. So on how to achieve glowing health and vitality, on how to get success, on how to discover your path to peace. All of those 30-minute guided meditations, they're going to help relax you, they're going to help focus you, they're going to help heal your nervous system, they're going to help open and expand your mind so that you can come up with better wisdom and information and be more efficient on all of the goals that you're working towards. So that's one of the gifts that you would get access to. And then I mentioned the 4-part webinar series. That is included in there as well. And you could become a sponsor for the book, because then you get some recognition on my website and also in the book. And you can get one-on-one consultations with me. So we could do some healing breakthrough facilitation, but I can also talk to you about your businesses and how you're going to apply those skills in those areas as well. And this is pretty fun because I've started to share the book with some people. So I wanted to share with you some of the feedback that is coming out of it. This is Anita Sanchez, who has a PhD, and she's the CEO of Sanchez Tennis and Associates. And she just launched a really sweet book too. She's an international best-selling author. And so her new book is The 4 Sacred Gifts. You can check that out. Here's what she says. Listen to Avital's authentic, inspiring voice. Springing from the soul, she shares her story of not accepting an incurable disease sentence to her current life of health, love, and joy. The stories in this book are powerful reminders to not readily accept limitations that others put on us due to health or other issues. Make sure to listen to your inner wisdom, where a solution may be waiting for you. And then this is what Dr. Kit Tennis says. This book is filled with deeply inspiring stories of people who take charge of their health by taking charge of their minds and their bodies. Every one of us deserves to thrive. And Avital gives us a beautiful set of roadmaps to attain vibrant, good health. And then I just got this one in from Janet Lane, who has an MS in clinical psychology. Avital Miller writes her interviews in ways that stimulate the reader to trust their own intuition, remembering that we are each unique. And a lot of you listening, you might realize how individual and unique your paths have been, and the way that you go about your life, and what's unique and special about what you're doing, right? You each have this beautiful, wonderful gift to bring out to the entire world. And you can help make that happen for yourself and for others by visiting GoFundMe.com/healing-happens-book and check out the book Healing Happens: Stories of Healing Against All Odds.
Wow. Oh my goodness gracious. Avital, you are unstoppable. Oh my goodness gracious. Ladies and gentlemen out there, definitely take action. You heard her. GoFundMe.com/healing-happens-book. And anytime you get to spend with Avital is an absolute pleasure and a privilege. And again, Avital, you've grown so much, and I don't think I've ever recommended this to anyone, but if you're out there and you're looking for a powerful speaker about healing who knows corporate style and is able to bring both the professional and maybe spiritual, or even not, Avital, you're great at keeping it in or putting it out, whatever, you're so powerful. I highly recommend Avital, and you bring her to your work, your business, your corporation, your event, whatever it might be, because she is such a powerful speaker, and you're so well composed, well practiced, and you've seriously put in the time to develop this, and it really shows, Avital. So I acknowledge you for your mastery, your commitment to mastery of these success keys, success principles, because you bring it. You bring it, champ. You do.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Chris. And I'm sure that the people who have been following you know that you are a good example. And in all honesty, one of the things that always drives me forward is watching you.
Thank you.
Because you have so much courage and you put so much energy into everything. And when I start to get a little shy or a little small, I literally go, what is Chris doing? What would Chris be doing? Oh. And then I just, make myself expand and have that sense of courage. We're different people, and you're a guy and I'm a gal. We're going to go about things differently, but there's still so much that we can take from each other, and we can learn from each other. And I've learned a lot, and I want to share it. I want people to know what the potential is for really just creating that inspiration to be happy, to live that ultimate life. And as we shift to know how to shift and how to tune in to where is that for ourselves right now. And speaking is really something that I really, really want to do. And one of the things that makes me antsy to get the book done is because I'm not even taking on that many of these opportunities to speak on live sessions like this because I wanted to get the book done and then I can go out there. I will go anywhere in the world. I'm not kidding.
Yes.
We just make it work out. I will go anywhere in the world. And as soon as this book is done, obviously I'm going to launch a couple online programs, but then I am very available to go out there. And I will let people know wherever you are in the world right now. If you can follow me on Facebook, yes. Avital Miller, and don't be offended if I don't know you, I might not accept you as a friend because I'm getting close to the limit. But everything is accessible, and you can send me messages. So there's nothing like you can't do if you're not listed as my friend. Mm-hmm. You'll still be my friend though, no matter what. But I'm on Facebook Live a lot, and I've been a little quiet the last few days so I could finish the book. But you're going to see me on there a lot, and so you're going to get regular tips. And I have a list of ideas. I'm backlogged a couple weeks with Facebook Lives, so hopefully there won't be too many more ideas, so I can catch up with myself. But that's the fun of the gifts that I think this world brings, is that everything around me continues to inspire me.
Oh, yeah.
And I want you all to be there with me so that we can inspire each other and that we can become our greatest possible self together.
Yes. What is the gift?
Yes. Let's do it one more time. So hands on the heart. Reason to live. Hand forward, one hand on the hip. You can even cock the hip if you're standing. Don't listen to everything.
Don't listen to everything.
Yeah, just give a little face there, a little look. Don't listen to everything. But do what you can do. Nod your head yes. Do what you can do. And then ask, what is the gift? And now that can be your daily morning dance.
I love it. Anchored in. Oh my gosh. Avital, you are stellar. Thank you so much for who you are in the world. And we'll definitely have you back on. Share this book with as many people as possible because these stories are wonderful. And out there, if you're listening, dude, seriously, go follow Avital, buy the book, sign up for one of these packages, spend time with her, have your own healing breakthrough because she delivers every time.
Yay! Thank you so much, Chris. It's an honor and a joy to be here.
Thank you. We'll see you soon, okay?
Yep.
All right. Take care.
Bye.